In this episode of this series, I'll be discussing what is the best roller coaster in each state of the United States. Hello coaster lovers, we're now officially in the last episode of what's the best roller coaster in each state series, which is sad, but this is also pretty stacked, but it's not as stacked as the Midwest or the South, it's right in the middle. But in this episode, I'm going to be covering the New England area, and if you possibly don't know where New England is, it's here in the US. So let's hop right in with the birth state of a very popular song, West Virginia. This state is relatively forgettable, but they do have a small park there, but it's nothing to write home about. But the best coaster in West Virginia is Big Dipper at Camden Park. This is a classic Woody, and it has a figure-8 looking layout, but it was also known for one used to be insane airtime moment, and it was so powerful that they had to block off a few of the last rows. It gives me vibes of Classic Coaster or Tornado at Strickers Grove, but this is located not that far from the Ohio border, so you could make this one of your stops if you're going to the Virginia parks. But the state that has more to offer than West Virginia is Maryland. This is a state that I always forget about when I'm trying to puzzle the states in my head or on a whiteboard. But Maryland has Six Flags America, and their standout coaster is Superman Ride of Steel. This is one weird hypercoaster because the helixes look unusual, and it has a random piece of straight track on where they could have easily added another element. Maybe a speed hill will work here. And it's like this because this is a clone of another coaster, which is Ride of Steel at Darien Lake. That one goes over water, but this one goes over a random field. But I've heard this coaster is pretty solid, so when I'm in DC, I'll try to hit this park up and try out this coaster. The most stacked state in this episode is up next with Pennsylvania. This is easily one of the most stacked states in the US as a whole. You got so many parks such as Hershey Park, Knoebels, Kennywood, Waldameer. There's just so many parks in Pennsylvania, and this was easily the hardest state to pick out the best coaster, but I'm pretty confident with my decision, and it's with Wildcat's Revenge. This is a coaster that enthusiasts really wanted to get RMC'd. It's because before Wildcat's Revenge, Wildcat existed. This was the original GCI, and enthusiasts hated this ride, and they really wanted it to be RMC'd, and Hershey Park listened and delivered. This is a top contender for the best ride at Hershey Park and the state, because this coaster looks incredible, and if you are a long-lasting fan, you know that Wildcat's Revenge was placed so high on my top 5 Duvet 2023 coasters video, and beware, it is old, and my mic wasn't that good back then. So back to Wildcat, this has a great layout with an eye-popping color scheme, but this isn't really on my bucket list, but it's up there. A state that looks crappy but isn't crappy in terms of coasters is New Jersey. New Jersey has a major game player and some boardwalk parks, but we're going to fixate on the major park, which is Six Flags Great Adventure, and the best coaster there is a no-shocker. It's El Toro. This is one of 4 intimate prefabs out there. The other 2 are in Europe and in Asia, but I'm not sure if it's on my list of my bucket list coasters. But anyway, this coaster looks amazing. The first drop looks illegal, and the first 2 camelbacks after that first drop look insane, and the cherry on top is the Rolling Thunder. But it does look like I'm basing everything off of a POV, but I'm just trying to have fun, so I don't want any comments saying, "But bro, you never rode it, so it's pointless to share your opinion about coasters you've never been on." I know that, but I'm just trying to have fun, so pipe down. But anyway, I don't think I'm gonna ride this anytime soon, which is sad. But the state next door is New York, which is up next. Home to the biggest city in the US and not much afterwards besides a couple cities, New York has some coasters, but all of them are not really considered world class. And it was a tough choice between Ride of Steel and Bobcat, but in the end, I decided to pick Ride of Steel. I can see either ride winning the top spot for New York. I chose this because it looks weird picking a small gravity group over an intimate hyper. But anyway, I previously discussed this in the Maryland portion, and pretty much all that applies onto here, so that means there isn't much to say besides the coaster going over the water looks pretty cool. A smaller state that is known for one ride is Connecticut. Home to Yale University, which is pretty much it on what Connecticut is known for. The state has a mid-sized park and it looks charming. It is with lake compounds and Boulder Dash. I compare this to the Beast because it's on a wooded setting and uses the terrain to its advantage, but at least it's not as weird as the Beast, but it looks very similar. I wouldn't be surprised if it's better than the Beast. It looks relentless. The state next door to Connecticut that has a bigger park is Massachusetts. Home to one of my favorite places to get breakfast, Dunkin' Donuts, Massachusetts also has a major park on their hands with Six Flags New England, and they have a really good 1-2 punch with Superman the Ride and Wicked Cyclone, but due to the restraints on Superman, Wicked Cyclone takes home the award of the best coaster in Massachusetts. This is also one of RMC's creations and it looks great. Maybe an upper mid-tier RMC, but it's not a lower tier RMC. It has an interesting layout because it has 3 laps around the footprint, but if you ride it, the final lap will be a little slow. So you should try this out later in the day if you're visiting Six Flags New England soon. So as for the next state, there's only 2 coasters here, and it's with Vermont. The 2 coasters in Vermont are mountain coasters, so I compared one to another, and I decided to give the best coaster in Vermont to Timber Ripper Mountain Coaster. This looks like a fun alpine coaster because it winds through the foliage of Vermont at a great pace pace, so I might like this Alpine coaster. But do I count Alpine coasters as coaster credits? I have not a clue for right now. I should go make a video about coaster credits. To sum it up, it looks pretty cool. Vermont's twin has more to offer than Vermont itself, and it's with New Hampshire, which is up next. New Hampshire has more to offer, and it has 8 more coasters than Vermont, and they're actually kind of legit. The original plan was for Yankee Cannonball at Canopy. It's a classic winter coaster with an L-shaped layout, but I changed my mind at the last minute to Roarosaurus. This is one of Gravity Group's best coasters because it has so many airtime pops, especially at the end. It's just bunny hop after bunny hop after bunny hop, and the front car looks so cool with the Triceratops, but this is located in the middle of nowhere, so it's going to be hard to get to. Overall, a great family Gravity Group. But now the time has come to discuss the final state of what's the best roller coaster in each state, and it's with Maine. The first state we covered is Washington. Now we're in Maine, which is so weird in a way, but at least we're ending things out with the banger, and that is with Excalibur at Funtown Splashtown, USA. This is 20 minutes away from Portland, and an hour away from the capital, Augusta. But this is a CCI. You don't see these coasters too often, so it's a treat if you get to ride one. But I don't know what this coaster reminds me of. It's a combination of all the CCIs, but it does have some good airtime pops, and the station is so cool. It looks like the hotel in Vegas, and it does have a cool layout with a lot of big drops and turnarounds. So overall, it's a good CCI. So I want to hear from you guys. How would you rank the best coaster in each state of New England? And if you enjoyed this final episode, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel too. It's so weird seeing the series come to a close, but it was fun while it lasted. So I hope you enjoyed the series and make sure to keep that adrenaline pumping, and thanks for watching.